What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. I hope everybody's doing well, and yeah, let's dive straight into things. So first of all, thank you everyone for watching yesterday's video. We've had amazing reception on that, and all the new subscribers, welcome. And I'm going to start here on the hourly on dollar and to see how we delivered. And you can see our price, just as I anticipated, traded nicely up into this 4-hour fair value gap. So this level right here and this level down here delineates a 4-hour fair value gap, as you can see, and you can see our price traded nicely into that. And if you remember rightly yesterday, I was stating how it's likely we'll probably bump the top of it and then retrace, and that's exactly what happened as well. So you can see we're consolidating within the range currently, so now it's just a matter of waiting to see if price wants to continue to trade on higher. Now on the hourly, there are a few things to draw our attention to, such as this gap. So if we split this gap up into quarters, you can see our price traded down into the discount, touching the bottom of the gap, and then you can see how we're wicking and closing above that 50% level. So this is a level of support to me, as in like I'm convinced that between here, the open, and this 50% level, and I'll just get that marked out for us now. So here it looks to me like price has found, strong support here. It's respecting this bullish order block. And if you remember, again, yesterday's video, I wanted to see if price could tap up into this buy side liquidity just above this high. So moving into Tuesday, I do want to see a continuation higher. We do have high impact news tomorrow. We never had any today, and you can kind of tell by how little movement there was. But with high impact news tomorrow, I'd like to think that it would send price up into the buy side liquidity pool up here, and then after that we'd have to wait and see whether we want to start getting a retracement, because remember, we're expecting an up close week, so that means we want a down close week, so we want to see the high get made on Monday or Tuesday. So yeah, the fact that we've respected that 50% level, and you can see our prices climbing on it, and you can see volumes closing. I wouldn't be surprised if during the Asia session and moving into London, price managed to continue to trade higher. So that's how I'm moving into the new day on Tuesday. Another thing to take note of is the top of this 4-hour fair value gap. So once we're above it, I want to see the top of it provide support. So I'm going to be taking note of that as we move into the London session tomorrow, because I'll expect us to be able to expand through it, use it as support, and then continue marching on higher towards this swing high right here, which I want to see get taken out. So yeah, quite a simple day generally speaking. Let's go to the 15-minute, and you can see our price traded lower, and then again look at volume, look at how we're respecting the low of the fair value gap, and then look at this beautiful expansion at 6:30, came down into the breaker, low, high, low, draw that out, breaker, go long, and like I said, I'm expecting a continuation to trade up towards this buy side. So this looks like a really nice pool of liquidity up here, and then is there a slight gap here? Let's take a look. It doesn't look like there's a full-on gap. There's a tiny gap there, but what's a more obvious draw for us would be this fair value gap on the 15-minute. So if price is gonna rally tomorrow, this is where I'd expect it to trade up to this premium. So let's get that drawn out. It does seem like a stretch, but remember, we have high impact news at 10 a.m. tomorrow. So again, I want to see a continuation of price pushing, and then I'd expect some kind of reversal, but once it's taken out the buy side liquidity. So there's a few things we're taking into account here. We're taking into account the fact that it's found support on the 50% of this gap, the opening gap between here and here, and you can see the 50% levels here, and look at how price is tapping into it and the volume. And then depending on how Asia opens and closes, I'd expect price to be able to rally into London and continue to push us into that premium. So quite a nice expectation. This 4-hour fair value gap in the discount, still a possibility, but I'm not expecting us to reach that until later on in the week now, because if we were going to trade into this early in the week, as in if we were going to remember yesterday I was saying we might dip down into that first. If we were going to do it first, it would have done it already, but that's not the case. We gapped inside the gap. We trade on the upside, downside, and then it looks like we're trading on the upside again. So this is going to be a balanced price range, which is what's going to help support and essentially sponsor price. But yeah, so I'm just looking for a continuation. I'm going to make this black just because I don't expect price to need to be able to trade through it. So let's just draw that out. And then what we can also mark out now is that Sunday opening price, which is right here. And this is going to be really important later on in the week, because you'll see if we're still above this this Sunday opening price and it gets to Wednesday, then we can expect Thursday or late Wednesday to try and to use that as a target for price to trade lower. So that's how I'm using that Sunday opening and why it's important to have it drawn out on your weekly, just because, like I said, if we're in high premiums and it gets to Wednesday in the week, then this will be a really easy target for us for sell side liquidity if we get a reversal. So that's how I'm looking at dollar. Very simple, not really much. I do suggest you go watch yesterday's video for some more context on my expectations, but yeah, not the cleanest of price action though. Like, although there were some nice moves such as here to here, and then in the London session as well, classic 3 a.m. setup. So you go to 3 a.m, we ran stops, then we had a break in market structure and price traded down to the low of the fair value gap. Like, there's a few nice setups here, but I want to see price continue to rally. Another thing to take note of is the Asian range. So if I just, the Asian range, yeah. If we go to 7 p.m, and I do talk about this in my back testing all the time, so go watch those videos if you haven't, or my live streams. And if you look at the high and the low, you can see we've taken out the low of the Asia range here. So let me just draw this out. So this is the low of the Asian range, and price has taken out the sell side liquidity below it. We haven't yet taken out that buy side liquidity off it, and it's very classic for price to take out both sides of the Asia range. Typically it does it in the same day. The fact we haven't done it today, as in we've only taken out one side of it, very telling of us that we're likely probably going to try and target that moving into the new day. So we can use that to our advantage to add to the bias. So let's get that drawn out. And then what we can also do is we can split the Asia range, so between the low and the high, and do the exact same thing. And you'll see how it is consolidating around that 50% level again. Very classic. Look at this. You can't make that stuff up. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't even dip down anymore, because this is very balanced price range. Look at the back forth, back forth, back forth, back forth, back forth, back forth, back forth. My point is, you know, they're consolidating for a reason, because they're accumulating. So I think it'll be a very smooth sweep higher as we move into Tuesday for us to then start reaching into nice premiums and these targets. Now there is a 5-minute fair value gap here, so let's take note of that just so we don't completely ignore it. So we might find that price stops there, maybe on the way throughout the day. It might get there to like at 5 a.m. or something, retrace and then continue. So that's something to take note of. But it's just good to have these things marked out so that we're not surprised when price, you know, bumps a level, so to speak. So that's how I'm looking at price. Very simple. I'm going to make sure this is only visible on current interval and below. And then that was it a 1 hour fair value gap up there? No, it's a 15 minutes. So let's go to the 15 minute. And I want to make that visible, excuse me, current intervals and below. So the lowest I expect, so yeah, we should be able to see a nice setup form around 3 a.m. I'm going to be looking ideally for longs on dollar with shorts on the pairs to help send us higher. Especially, like I said, this is, although it's a mess, my bias since last week has been to see dollar higher. So, you know, this is supporting that. So there's no reason for me to expect any different. But yeah, that's going to be everything on dollar. There's really not much for me to say, guys. Pretty nice day in terms of it delivering how I'd want it to. Like, it's nothing crazy, and with high impact news tomorrow, it should give us some nice setups. Let's head on to GBP USD, and you'll see here some beautiful price action again. So let's go to the daily. Just as I anticipated, we can see prices traded lower. This was the highest I was saying I want to see price trade before going lower. We didn't even reach up to there, which is quite interesting, and you can see we're starting to work our way towards these lows. So let's go to the 4 hour. And then I forgot what level this is. What is that level? I can't remember. I should probably go watch my videos myself. But anyway, you can see our price bumped it today, traded lower, tapped it one more time, and continued to wander on lower. And again, I'm still expecting price to fill. This is a beautiful 15-minute fair value gap below this low that I want to see price trade to. And you can see, look at where we are. So we've just, we're leaving this sell side liquidity intact by the looks of things. So we might leave that intact until the new day, and then price will target that to accumulate stops. So we might find some rallying in the new day, which is completely fine. And then I want to see price trade lower and fill this fair value gap. As price is dropping into that fair value gap, I'll be watching dollar closely to see it, you know, rally on higher towards its fair value gaps. Remember, on the 5-minute potentially. So it might only get here, or if it's overzealous, then it will run these buy stops and go up to here. So let's say it runs only to here. What am I doing once it gets here? Partials. So if I'm in a position, I'll partial once dollar hits that level, and if it wants to continue, I'll still have some more position. If not, by then my stop loss would be at a profitable point in terms of trading. But we can talk more on that when we do some back testing. But my point is, generally speaking, I'm expecting continued downwards price action. Nothing's changed, and I'm looking to get this discount fair value gap traded to on pound. So let's go to the 15-minute, take a closer look. Anything we can look at. Again, I like the way we've tapped this level, tapped it and left it. So this run between this low and this high, more specifically here, this breaker is interesting to me because this is the last up close candle before price delivers to the downside, right? So that makes this a breaker. So we got a high, we got a low, we got a higher high, and then price has managed to break down. So we should be looking at this low as where a setup should ideally form. Now I'm going to make this black. I don't know what this is. If you remember, leave a comment, guys. I'm going to get rid of that just so it doesn't confuse us. But generally speaking, I'm looking at this wick. Like we could use the whole order block, but wicks are gaps too. And I'd rather, I'm more comfortable using the wick because I know it's a gap. And also the way that price is tapped back into it. And if we look at the 50% level off it, we can study it a little bit more. Look at this. See that? So when price, if it does manage to rally back into that, that's when I'd be expecting shorts for it to then drop off. This is assuming we see some rallying. Remember, it's always possible that price doesn't need to rally before it drops, as in we might just see a continuation, and that's completely fine. There'll still be setups for us to get short and get into this fair value gap like so. So yeah, again, not the cleanest of delivery though. Although we've dropped lower, look at how many up and closed down candles. This is very high resistance, so you have to be careful in conditions like these. But again, when you see back and forth price action like these are what we call balanced price range. So price has gone down and it's gone up and it's left it. So price trading back into it should act as resistance until we have a reversal, when it will do the exact opposite and trade, and we want to see it trade through it. But until then, I'm looking for price to keep dropping into the sell side towards our fair value gap, and then from there on we'll see, okay, does it want to get even deeper, you know? Does it want to get below these lows? Does it want to trade into this breaker, you know? So there's a few things to take note of, but first we need to see how we can trade down into here. So that's everything on pound. And then also we have a bullish order block right here, these two up close candles. So if we look at the open of that, that's also a bullish order block. So when we drop down to the 15-minute, that must be what that level was. But again, my point is, anywhere around here, price should find resistance. If we're bearish, it should find resistance. So yeah, I hope that all makes sense. You know what, I'm going to quickly put the daily dividers up just to make it a bit more clear. So here are the daily dividers. You can see the Monday opening there. Here's the Sunday opening price. Again, we're going to do the exact same thing and study it. So Sunday opened here and we're below the Sunday price right now. So we're in if we're expecting an up close week, we're in the discount right now. So we should be looking for setups, assuming that price is going to reverse midweek. Weeks like these, if it does reverse midweek, are perfect, and we'll have a really good back testing session if price delivers as we anticipate. But my point is, just make sure you have your Sunday opening price to refer to, and just acknowledge the fact that we're below it. And then here, what's quite interesting is we have taken out both sides of the Asian range. So there's liquidity which pound's taken out, which dollar hasn't yet, which is interesting. But let's go mark the same Asian range. You can see how the high got taken out during London, and then we ran straight down and took out the lows of Asian range, and now it's using the lows of Asian range as resistance. And I'll show you what I mean. So this is the Asian range between this high and this low. Drag that through and look at how it's bumping it here, you know, it's finding resistance. That is, so there's no reason we should anticipate price to be able to trade through that very easily, and we should be able to see a continuation. And the fact that pounds managed to drop below it but dollars struggling is showing significant weakness in pound. In fact, let's just quickly take a look at Euro GBP. So you can see that Euro's traded higher today, and that explains why we're seeing so much weakness in pounds. So you know, it's justified, and that means it's probably going to continue showing a strong level of weakness until it's reached its target. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. I'm going to mark this out, draw this into the new day. A breaker, and then I'd like to think that price could tap it, and then we can drop lower. And then once we get here, then I'll be thinking about potential reversals or whatnot. But yeah, pretty simple. Let's finish up on Euro USD. And you'll see that Euro USD hasn't taken out both sides of the Asia range. So again, this is where we're seeing divergence. But let's go to the daily, and you'll see this inversion fair value gap, and look at what happened. Price traded up into the midpoint just as anticipated. Look at that. Can't make that stuff up, guys. Tapped into it and then dropped lower, took out this low, and it's reaching. Remember yesterday's video, I'm looking for this south side as a target. So again, similarly, I'm happy for price to rally early day, but I want to see price continue to drop, and we'll probably get that nice drop off on the back of news and moving into tomorrow. Let's look at some more local sell side liquidity, such as this low and then this low, but we might as well have it marked out, why not? And then we can look at this bearish order block. So as soon as this got traded through on this candle on the 4 hour, this makes this a bearish order block. So let's get that order block open marked out, and this would be the highest I'd expect price to be able to trade comfortably for me to remain bearish on euro. So let's just write bearish 4 hour bearish order block. Like so. Go to the 1 hour, and you can see currently price is kind of consolidated because it's messing about with this order block. So we're very range bound right now. So you can see price is just kind of, you know, look at these lows here. It's what's it doing? It's building liquidity. This is what you call engineered liquidity. So we might find that price rallies and keeps stabbing into the new day, and then later in the new day, maybe on the back of 10 a.m, boom, it's going to drop, and it will probably take out this sell side liquidity, knowing that stops are there. But seeing how price is marching its way down here, we should look at the breaker, similar to what we did on dollar. We've got a high, a low, a high, price is broken lower. So I'm looking at this last down close candle, which just happens to line up with our 4 hour bearish order block. But nonetheless, the open off that should also be quite sensitive to price. So once price trades up into this range, if it does manage to do it, I'd expect price to find weakness there, and then I'd want to see it ideally turn around. It doesn't have to, but you know, and look at this. This isn't easy for me to read, guys. I'm not looking at this like, oh, this is light work. This is not clean price action. I don't want to be trading this. Look at the way it's engineering all this sell side below here. You know, and what they're doing, they're taking out anyone who's going long right now. And they're going to keep doing this. They're going to keep dropping it and making people think, oh, it's short, until, you know, the reversal and whatnot. So we need to think about the way it's engineering this liquidity in. But nonetheless, they're holding it in consolidation right now for a reason. To be honest, what's quite interesting is if we look at this little breaker here, you can see that price is finding support in that. But ideally, once if it does rally into there, I want to see resistance and price continue lower. And this is all assuming, guys, dollar has to be in line. So remember, so long as dollar stays, you know, above the sell side liquidity, which has been grabbed, you know, got a low, high, lower, low, broke higher, like, as long as price is stacking on itself and this consolidation stays intact, there's no reason for us not to expect a continuation to the upside. Same on euro, but obviously reversed. The amount of back and forth price action here, for it to get through this, it will take so much work, so much effort that, you know, it can't do that until I don't think it can do that until it's reached its sell side target, because we're currently in a downtrend. So it's looking for sell side liquidity, and that's going to be residing below places like this, with people who are going long thinking that euro is going to keep trading higher. So yeah, you kind of have to look at it, you know, open-minded. If you haven't had the paradigm shift yet, you won't understand what I'm talking about. And you can see that euro is not delivering very nicely. You see today, anyone trading euro today, God bless you, because this is not the kind of conditions I'd want to be trading in. But I do think tomorrow's going to loosen up, and we should be able to see some nice setups on the back. Let's say worst case scenario. So worst case scenario, price trades higher and it gets through the 4 hour bearish order block. If this 4 hour bearish order block doesn't get respected and it starts trading through it, I'm simply wrong. I reverse my my bias, and I'll start looking for highs to get traded to if I'm comfortable, because it's not like there's not liquidity residing up here. There's imbalances here, and then there's this entire, and then price would want to try and run these relative equal highs here and here, and that's completely fine. It can do that. It's just ideally it doesn't do it now, because I'm expecting the low to be created at this time of the week. So you can see my bias is built on previous data and habits of the market, and if it goes against it, then that's just it telling me, listen, I'm not ready to do that right now, and we just adjust accordingly. But overall, this is where I want to see price rally to at the very highest tomorrow early morning, and then I'd want to see it drop off and start running towards sell side in line with dollar, ideally continue to find support and then pushing up higher and running for the buy stops above here. So yeah, that's going to be everything, guys. Hope you found that insightful. Don't forget to drop a like, drop a comment, smash subscribe, join the mailing list, and also turn on your post notifications so you don't miss another video. And welcome to all the new subscribers. Peace.